Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Friday. That means it's time for SMG Viewers Comments. We are at episode 140. Hope you're going to have a spectacular weekend. Let's get right to it.
Hey Glenn, love the show. What do you think about people standing up at concerts that have seats? I went to see Dream Theater at the Sony Center in Toronto a few weeks ago, and the whole fucking concert, everybody stood up. My wife and I left after the first set. It fucking totally sucks when all you can see is the back of some fucking head-bobbing asshole for the whole show. And of course, no matter where you sit, the people in front of you are always 6.5 fucking feet tall. So do you spend the money to go see a band, but you can't see the band because the stupid brain-dead fuckers don't have the sense of a turd to sit in the fucking seat that they paid good money for? Any views on the subject?
Yeah, that's kind of a tough one. Some shows people stand up at, some don't. I remember, I went to go see the Stones once and we had like nosebleed seats. And the guys in front of me were standing up and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Nobody's standing up in front of you. I've had a long day. Let's watch the show. And they go, well, hey man, it's the Stones. I'm like, sit down. That seemed to work. But if everybody's standing up in the audience, you're not going to have much of an argument. It's definitely a follow the herd kind of thing. So it's a chicken there, the egg situation. I've been to shows where, my wife's very short. We're going to go see Alice Cooper and everybody was standing and she couldn't see anything. So she stood on the seat she had paid for and the people behind her were cool. They didn't mind. They understood she couldn't see anything. So that was all right. But it's one of the reasons I don't like going to shows too much anymore because common decency just seems to go right out the window at a lot of these things. I used to really love going to see Steel Panther at a bunch of shows and it just seems like everybody's just a bunch of dicks and everybody pushes and shoves and it's just like, you know what? I don't need this crap anymore.
Hey Glenn, have you ever had to work with shy or nervous singers/musicians? Me and a friend of mine want to start a band and she is an amazingly talented singer, but every time I try to get together with her to work on some songs, she's either working, sick, has family stuff, too busy, etc., etc. I've talked to her about this and she told me she's nervous about going into music despite her loving it. She feels like she isn't good enough. I've tried reassuring her that she is very talented and shouldn't be having anything to fear, but I still can't seem to get her to budge. Do you have any advice on how I can help her work on her confidence, or should I try looking somewhere else?
Tell her to approach it like this. When she sings, she can't be herself. She has to step into a character. That's what's worked for Alice Cooper. That's how Steve Vai found his voice to sing on Fire Garden, is they have to invent a different version of themselves. It's like walking on stage. You just can't be you because you might not be the person who's outgoing, who's an extrovert, who's going to challenge the world and take it on, that sort of thing. So she has to find her voice, and it sounds like, she's been beat down a lot in her life. So she has to find a different version of herself. That might work. Good luck. I hope it goes well.
The hardcore scene in my state goes a step further and fishes. The smallest fairy dancer's job is to blatantly throw punches at an unsuspecting target on the edge of the pit. Then when the fishy attempts to confront the fisher by simply walking in the middle of the pit for the fisher's friends attack. It usually ends with the fishy on the floor bleeding with 10 hardcore kids stomping him/her. I saw this happen at a Christian hardcore show. The target was selected because he didn't bow his head during the band's opening prayer. And after the bouncers dragged the bleeding fishy out, he was banned from the venue for being the cause of the conflict.
Don't you just love Jesus' fan club for spreading the message of love of Jesus' word all over the world, especially at hardcore shows? That sounds like an assault, and that sounds like a few people should have been arrested over that. Unfortunately, I'm going to guess nobody bothered to get video. That kind of sucks, because he probably would have had a very strong case in that situation. Anyway, well, as I always say in situations like that, just don't go to those shows. Don't give those bands your money, especially when they're going to allow that kind of violence to go on. It shouldn't be tolerated at all.
Hey Glenn, what's the best way to start making your mixing portfolio when you're starting off?
Simple. Download some multi-tracks from Pro Mix Academy and start mixing those and learning how it goes. And that way you can add those mixes into your portfolio and show prospective bands, hey, I mixed this, I did that with these tracks, I did this with these tracks, that kind of things. And then start calling your friends up and recording them and mixing them as well. The trick is to continually build your skills and make your mixes available on your website. Hey guys, I wanted to let you know that my new premium lesson comes out today. It's called Producing Prog Metal, and it's featuring my good friends Chris Rafinski and Mike Wisnuck. You guys have seen them on the show quite a bit over the last couple of years, and we tracked an original song. There's going to be about 2-3 hours of video detailing the entire mix, how the song's put together, where the mics are placed. It's got my presets, it's got my effects settings and my Reaper settings, and everything you'd ever want to know about how I put a song together. It's really cool. You can check it out at promixacademy.com. I'll have a link in the description below.
Hi Glenn, I'm building my own home studio and helping a friend build his in the same process. So what's better for a modern home studio? Analog or digital? I personally find myself attracted to the hybrids like the Mackie Pro FX 212 V2 mixer interface. Love your show, keep up the awesome work. By the way, my bass player is buying your rule number 2 shirt.
Well, hey, Trey, go with what you like. I mean, like when you talk analog or digital, I think, tape machines. And, well, I don't think too many people can afford the tape or the machine or the bands can play the tape very much anymore these days anyway. So when you talking analog, probably not so much. If you want to work on the mixer, that's absolutely fine. If it gets you results you want to, that's absolutely fine as well. Good luck. Hope it goes well for you, man. Thanks for writing.
Hey, Glenn, what's your opinion on Dimebag Darrell's guitar tone?
Always liked it right from the start. I remember when Cowboys from Hell came out and nobody really knew who the hell they were. And I remember like, wow, that's a really different guitar sound. That's really, really interesting. And I thought it was kind of cool because nobody had heard anything like it. And good for Dimebag. He definitely kind of set the bar and did his own thing. And he's definitely left a legacy.
Glenn, thanks for making these videos. They have been an incredible tool for quickly getting up and running on the beginning stages of recording music. My question is this: what mics or technique do you recommend for capturing the tone that comes out of the speakers as authentically as possible? I've been playing for about 25 years and have grown borderline hate what the SM57 does to guitar tones. Now that I'm finally back to playing and writing regularly, I'd like to capture the tone of what my gear is as I hear it close up with the same damn coloration.
I hear what you're saying. You might want to try the Fredman technique, the on-off axis thing, and blend it on a small mixer. Check out my Fredman Mike's demo video, and I kind of detail that a little bit further. I find that gives a little bit truer sound of what's going on. Another option is the Lewitt 440 DM. I'm going to be doing some demos on that. I've been experimenting with on guitar cabs, and it is freaking awesome. Doesn't sound as papery as a 57. It's a little bit truer. It's a little bit richer sounding, in my opinion. It's awesome on snare. It's my absolute favorite on snare, and it's just ripping on guitar cabs. So stay tuned for that demo. Definitely going to be worth checking out.
Hey Glenn, big fan of the channel. This might be a little taboo, but what do you think about the recent news with the band Decapitated? They gang raped a woman on the tour bus. I'm just curious on your thoughts on this.
Now, this is a really touchy subject. I actually shot an answer to this a week or two ago, and I thought I'd better take another crack at this because I really don't want any of my words being taken out of context. I'm going to say this very clearly. I find the idea of sexual assault to be reprehensible on all sorts of levels. It's disgusting. That being said, the charges against the band were dropped. Not without prejudice, they can be refiled, but to protect the quote-unquote victim, the charges were dropped. I'm guessing because of lack of evidence and the fact that people had seen this girl at the show, smashing herself against the gate at the front of the stage. That could explain the bruises. Although there is a witness that said, they were held against their will. It's a he said, she said kind of thing. Is there any video evidence? I don't know. There's a lot of questions there. But I will say this. And I say this to guys who are on tour, please protect yourself because all it takes is an accusation to ruin your career. Doesn't take a conviction, a due process doesn't seem to be a big thing anymore. All it takes is an accusation. And here's the rub for that band. Now, even though they had the charges dropped, they spent time away from their families, locked in jail, and they're going home. But this is the thing, you're probably never going to see them tour the States ever again because now they all have arrest records. And it's going to cost them tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, to clear their names in the legal system. You won't see them tour again because the minute they try crossing into the US border again, flags are going to go up because they've got arrest records for sexual assault. Doesn't matter that they weren't convicted or even went to trial. The fact that they were arrested will red flag them at the border. So I say this to any band that's actually planning on traveling the United States. You better have the right paperwork and you would better have a clean criminal record. And if you've been arrested, you're going to need to carry a police clearance. And if you've been convicted, don't even try. Respect the U.S. border guards. Trust me, I've worked with a lot of bands that play the States. They are nothing to be taken lightly. And if I can give any advice to guys running home studios, if you're going to be in the same room with somebody alone from the opposite sex, run a camera. That's what I do. That's how I protect myself because life is far too short to deal with that kind of bullshit. Put a camera up in the corner, keep it running, and let your client know that as well, that it's there for your protection and her protection. Or if the sexes are reversed, vice versa. Just keep a camera rolling. That way you're not going to run into any bullshit.
What is your opinion on using drum samples to learn how to mix?
Well, I think that's a great idea if you want to mix drum samples for the rest of your life.
Science guy here. Strings die from a mixture of things. Presence of dirt is probably the largest factor in strings degrading. Oil from hands and especially sweat. Number one thing to keep your strings sounding okay for learners is to just give them a wipe down with a microfiber towel after playing.
Makes perfect sense, but you're asking musicians to clean up after themselves, and we all know that is mission impossible.
Glenn, my man, loyal follower for more than 3 years now. What are your thoughts about sound guys and venue staff who show up way later than required? I've had a few instances where all of us from the band showed up earlier than the required time. Venue wasn't even open yet, and the show started way later than scheduled, despite that we played a solid show. Sadly, I've learned from other bands that this venue has such a bad history with being late for things, and felt the best approach was to not play that venue again unless they got their act together. I'd like to know your insight, since you and I share some of the same view on how important it is for people to show up on time for gigs. Cheers from a fellow Canadian.
Well, I think it all just comes down to professionalism. Yeah, if the bar staff isn't going to take the gig seriously and work on schedule, yeah, it's not worth your time, especially if there's competition in whatever city you're playing in. Yeah, you want the path of least resistance. You want to do what's going to get you to your goals with the easiest method possible and the least amount of flack. And yeah, if the bar's not going to hold up their end of the deal, don't deal with them again.
At the local music shop, an employee once said, and I quote, "The Line 6 Spider Mark is the best amp for the money."
Well, that's the reason why that guy's working in a music store and not touring the world.
How did you quit smoking?
Okay, totally off topic here from the usual recording stuff. It took me 5 attempts to quit smoking. And I did it with the prescription pill Champix, and it did work. I had to go through anger management a couple times after I quit, but yes, I did actually quit. I gave myself some goals and I gave myself some rewards too. At the 6-month mark of quitting smoking, I bought myself a vintage U87, something I had always wanted. So if you are going to quit smoking, make sure you reward yourself and don't give up. It's tough, but you'd be surprised what you're capable of.
RE High School. I take a lot of pride in being a 10th grade dropout surrounded by degree-holding buffoons. I'm far more lucky than smart, but I do what I do and enjoy the bojangles out of it.
You know what? Good for you, man. Here's the thing. High school can definitely stand in the way of raw talent if you have it. I have a friend of mine who's very successful at what he does and left school in the 10th grade. I've got a couple of friends who actually did that, never even finished high school, and are running huge businesses. So it really comes down to your motivation and what you've learned. So high school isn't necessarily the only path. But if you want to work for someone else, you're definitely going to need a high school diploma. If you're going to work for yourself, maybe not so much. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out Pro Mix Academy, especially the Ultimate Rock Mixing Bundle, where some very big names in rock and metal take you through some of their mixes and show you how they put them all together. That's it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time. Hasadiga Ibawai.